Imagine a predator lurking in the shadows, preying on the innocent. A man whose name would become synonymous with terror, whose crimes would haunt a nation. This is the story of Robert Black, one of Britain's most notorious child murderers. His reign of terror, spanning nearly a decade, left a trail of devastation and loss, forever scarring the lives of families and casting a long shadow over the United Kingdom. Black's crimes were as chilling as they were baffling. He would snatch his victims in broad daylight, vanishing without a trace, leaving behind a void of unanswered questions and unbearable grief. His victims, all young girls, became symbols of innocence lost, their faces forever etched in the collective memory of a nation gripped by fear. Robert Black was an enigma, a man hiding in plain sight. He was the kind of person who could easily be overlooked, blending seamlessly into the background of everyday life. Born in Scotland in 1947, his early life was marked by instability and neglect. His childhood was a turbulent one, filled with hardship and a lack of parental guidance. He developed a disturbing fascination with young girls, a fixation that grew more sinister as he aged. A dark secret that festered within him. This obsession was not just a fleeting thought, but a deep-seated compulsion that he could not control. This twisted desire would eventually manifest in the most horrific ways imaginable. His actions would leave a scar on the communities he targeted. Black was a delivery driver by trade, a job that allowed him to move unnoticed through various neighborhoods, a profession that gave him both anonymity and access to residential areas across the UK. It was the perfect cover for his nefarious activities. He was a phantom, drifting from town to town, always on the move, always looking for his next victim, leaving a trail of despair in his wake. His presence was like a dark cloud that loomed over the places he visited. Black was meticulous and cunning. He planned his moves with the precision of a chess master, always thinking several steps ahead. He would stalk his victims, observing their routines, learning their habits, and identifying the perfect moment to strike. Waiting for the opportune moment to strike. His patience was as chilling as his intentions. His crimes were not random acts of violence, but carefully planned abductions, executed with chilling precision. Each act was a calculated move in his twisted game. He knew how to blend in, how to appear unassuming, making it difficult for anyone to suspect him, making him the nightmare next door, the person you would never expect to be a predator, the monster hiding in the shadows of everyday life. His story is a grim reminder of the evil that can lurk behind the most ordinary of facades. Black's reign of terror began in 1981 with the abduction and murder of 9-year-old Susan Maxwell. Susan was walking home from a game of tennis near her home in Northumberland when she vanished. The image of her, carefree and happy, forever frozen in time just moments before her disappearance, became a haunting symbol of the nightmare that was about to unfold. Her body was found 2 weeks later, hundreds of miles away. The investigation sent shockwaves through the country. Who could commit such a horrific act? The fear was palpable, the sense of vulnerability acute. Little did anyone know that this was just the beginning of a horrifying killing spree. A year later, in 1982, Black struck again. This time, his victim was 5-year-old Caroline Hogg, abducted from a park near her home in Edinburgh. Caroline had been enjoying a summer evening playing with friends, her laughter echoing through the air when she was snatched away. Her disappearance sparked one of the largest manhunts in Scottish history. Despite the massive search efforts, hope dwindled with each passing day. 10 days later, Caroline's body was discovered, discarded like refuse hundreds of miles away. The similarities to Susan Maxwell's case were undeniable, sending a chill down the spines of investigators and confirming their worst fears. A serial child killer was on the loose. Section 5. Sarah Harper, a glimmer of hope in a sea of darkness. In 1986, Black's reign of terror reached its peak with the abduction and murder of 5-year-old Sarah Harper in Leeds. Sarah, a bright and bubbly child, had been running errands with her mother when Black snatched her from the street in broad daylight. The audacity of the crime sent shockwaves through the nation. However, this time there was a glimmer of hope. A witness came forward, providing a crucial lead, the description of a suspicious man and his van. This crucial piece of information, combined with the tireless efforts of law enforcement, would finally bring Black's reign of terror to an end. Section 6. Capture and Trial, a monster unmasked. In 1990, Black was finally apprehended in a dramatic arrest. He was caught red-handed attempting to abduct a young girl in the Scottish village of Stowe. The girl thankfully survived. The arrest sent waves of relief across the UK, but the true horror of Black's crimes was only just beginning to unravel. During his trial, the full extent of Black's depravity was laid bare. The evidence against him was overwhelming, linking him to the murders of Susan, Caroline and Sarah. The nation watched in horror as the details of their deaths were revealed, the courtroom filled with the palpable grief and anger of the victims' families. Black was sentenced to life in prison, his reign of terror finally over. Section 7. Unsolved Cases. The ghost of Robert Black lingers. Despite his conviction, a chilling question remained: were there more victims? Black's extensive travels and the similarities between his confirmed crimes and other unsolved cases fueled speculation that he was responsible for more unspeakable acts. The families of other missing children clung to the hope that their loved ones' cases would be solved, their agonizing wait for answers prolonged by the possibility that Black held the key. While Black was never charged with any further crimes, the shadow of suspicion lingered. Even behind bars, he remained a figure of dread, his name synonymous with the darkest impulses of humanity. The full truth of his crimes may never be known, leaving a haunting sense of unease and unresolved grief. Section 8. The unending nightmare life after loss for the families. For the families of Black's victims, life was forever shattered. The moment they lost their loved ones, their world was turned upside down, leaving them to pick up the pieces of a life that would never be the same. The pain of their loss was immeasurable, a deep wound that time could never fully heal. Each day was a struggle to find a new normal, to cope with the overwhelming grief that consumed their hearts. The void left by their loved ones was a constant ache, a reminder of the joy and laughter that once filled their lives. Every empty room, every silent toy echoed with memories of what once was. They had to navigate a world without their children, a world that felt colder and emptier. The simple act of walking through a park or passing by a playground became a painful reminder of their loss. Forever haunted by the knowledge of their suffering, they carried the weight of their children's absence in every moment, in every breath. Their grief was compounded by the constant media attention, an unrelenting spotlight that offered no respite. Their personal tragedies were thrust into the public eye, leaving them with little space to mourn in private. The relentless scrutiny made their pain even more unbearable, as they were forced to relive their worst moments over and over again for the world to see. The families of Black's victims found strength in their shared grief, coming together to support one another. In their collective sorrow, they discovered a sense of community and understanding that helped them through the darkest of times. Supporting each other through the darkest of times, they became each other's lifeline, offering comfort and solace when it was needed most. They became advocates for change, channeling their grief into action. They demanded justice for their loved ones, refusing to let their deaths be in vain. Demanding justice for their loved ones, they spoke out, organized vigils and held press conferences, determined to make their voices heard. They worked tirelessly to prevent similar tragedies from occurring, dedicating themselves to raising awareness and advocating for change. Their resilience in the face of unimaginable loss is a testament to the enduring power of love. They honored their loved ones by planting trees, holding memorials, and creating spaces for remembrance. And through it all, they showed the human spirit's capacity for healing, finding moments of peace and connection amidst the pain. Section 9. Conclusion: Scars on Society, Echoes of Terror. Robert Black's reign of terror left an indelible mark on the UK. His actions were not just crimes, they were a series of events that shook the very foundation of communities, instilling fear and sorrow in the hearts of many. He became a chilling reminder of the vulnerability of innocence, a stark illustration of how fragile and precious childhood truly is. The darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of ordinary life is often hidden. But Black's actions brought it to the forefront, forcing society to confront uncomfortable truths. His crimes sparked a national conversation about child safety, prompting communities to come together in search of solutions and preventative measures. This led to significant changes in law enforcement practices, with a renewed focus on protecting the most vulnerable members of society. There was a heightened awareness of the dangers children face, and communities became more vigilant, implementing neighborhood watch programs and increasing adult supervision in public spaces. Yet the echoes of his crimes continue to reverberate, a haunting reminder of the past that lingers in the present. The families of his victims still grapple with their loss, their lives forever altered by the tragedy that befell them. Their pain is a constant reminder of the human capacity for evil, a stark contrast to the innocence that was so cruelly taken from them. The shadow of Robert Black serves as a chilling reminder that even in the face of unimaginable darkness, the pursuit of justice must continue. The unwavering love for those we have lost fuels this pursuit, driving communities to stand together in solidarity. The fight to protect the innocent must never cease, as it is a testament to our collective humanity and our commitment to safeguarding future generations. The fight for justice continues, a relentless effort to ensure that such horrors are never repeated. This ongoing struggle serves as a beacon of hope in the face of unspeakable tragedy, reminding us that even in the darkest times, there is light to be found.